Welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute, your source of internet marketing inspiration.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. I'm your host, John Henson, and this week, maybe you've already listened to this episode because you joined us on the live stream on Thursday, but this week is a big episode because it is the launch of our 2023 Legal Marketing Trends Report. Now, if you participated in it, or if you were a client of ours here at Spotlight Branding, you may have gotten early access, so some of you may be a couple of weeks ahead. But for everybody else, this is the week, I guess last week was the week when it went live. And so we're going to just preview it a little bit here for those of you who haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And I'm going to tell you what you can do to go and get it this week. So like last year, we surveyed a ton of law firm owners, several thousand, got back a few hundred responses. The data was great. We were really proud of how it turned out. A lot of people were really excited with how it turned out. And for this year's report, we wanted to do it bigger. We wanted to do it better. We surveyed even more people. We got more of our partners involved, other vendors that work in the legal space, got them to share the survey with their audience. Several of them did. And we more than doubled the number of survey responses from last year's report. And honestly, I was a little concerned when I saw those numbers because I didn't know if the data from last year's report would almost be invalidated, and be skewed in such a way that it, almost completely reset everything that we did. But what I found is that a lot of the numbers kind of stayed the same. There were some slight shifts, but nothing so dramatic that it made me feel like last week's data or last year's data was messed up in any way, right? So last year, there was the big theme of how lawyers felt like they didn't have a lot of time. This year, the bigger concern was around profitability and making sure that they were making enough money and being able to charge the appropriate amount, right? So they want to become more profitable. Law firms want to become more profitable. Great. Yes. Something to strive for. Absolutely. 100%. But they also want to work with higher quality clients. So the idea there is like, they don't want to just take every client in and get as much revenue as possible. They want to do it smarter, right? They want to increase their profits, but they want to enjoy the work that they're doing along the way, right? They want to have the types of clients they want to work with. They want to bring in the higher case values that they want to work with, right? So the other thing that we noticed is that there is still a huge opportunity out there for law firms to generate a ton of referrals. Referrals are huge in the legal world, but at least according to this survey, there's still a ton of growth and a ton of things that law firms aren't doing in order to maximize that growth. So just kind of going through, some of the stuff that we found. A big part that we wanted to look at was like, how much are law firms actually growing, right? We talk a lot about the pandemic, a lot of employee turnover, hear sometimes that a lot of small businesses are closing and stuff like that. But what we found was that 94% of law firms saw some growth, even if it was like 1%. 94% of law firms indicated that they grew in 2022 versus 2021. And that's incredible, right? The majority, a third, saw about a quarter, 20 to 25% growth, which is awesome. But again, only 6% said they lost revenue over that period. And so it was really, really cool to see that from the legal industry. Another question that we had last year that I asked again this year was why law firms think that they lose business. And this actually, the responses here were actually pretty even, which is pretty crazy. There was about a third apiece between thinking that a competitor has more experience, the competitor charges lower rates, or that a competitor has lower marketing. And, there are a lot of reasons for why you think that, you lost out. Maybe someone is charging lower rates. And if that's the case, it's fine. That's someone you didn't want to work with anyway. Maybe a competitor has better marketing that makes them look more experienced or the better fit. And that's an easily fixable problem. Maybe it's just the competitor has better marketing that keeps them top of mind with people and they ended up using them over you again, which is very fixable. And then, maybe something that we can't help with personally, but I know that a lot of firms struggle with this, is the overall client experience and the customer service aspect of it. So different things to check out there. But yeah, in going through the actual marketing that people are doing, and I want to come down here. Where is it at? Here we go. So a big part last year is we wanted to look and see like what people were doing with their content marketing. And we asked them, about basically about the services that we provide, but we also asked about SEO, pay-per-click ads, stuff like that, that people can, that people are doing in their law firms, or that maybe people aren't doing. We want to see what their opinions on why they weren't doing stuff like that. So we asked last year about email marketing, email newsletters. Last year, 43% said that they were not sending an email newsletter at all. However, 65%, 2/3 of law firms this year reported that they are sending email newsletters on a regular basis. And that's key, right? Not one every quarter, not one just kind of whenever they think about it, but at least monthly. And I thought that that was really good, because that's going to be one of the biggest drivers of referrals for law firms. And so if you're listening and you're not doing that, 2/3 of your competitors are already doing it, so you're falling behind. But aside from that, it's a great way to drive referrals. It's a great way to market to your current audience. There's all kinds of studies out there that, I've seen anywhere from 5 times to 10 times more expensive to generate new leads than it is to market to your current audience. And this is the absolute hands down easiest way to do it. When we asked why they didn't send these email newsletters, 40% said that they didn't have the time, which was down a little bit from last year, but still the biggest response overall. We'll probably do some email marketing workshops later this year, but again, it doesn't have to be a super time consuming process. It can be really, really simple, or you can just, outsource it. Social media. These numbers did not change a lot. Still about 85% of law firms are on Facebook, about 70% on LinkedIn, about half on Twitter and Google Business, about 40% on Instagram. The biggest change was law firms on TikTok. Last year it was only 9%. This year it doubled to 18%. And we've got a ton of content about this on our website, but TikTok is where everything is going. Everything's video based. I mean, we're doing stuff like this right here. It's where things are going, in the video based content and all kinds of stuff. Just being the future and being a good place to establish a presence with your firm, build that credibility. That's really important along the way. So if your firm is not on TikTok, great opportunity. The time is running out to be on TikTok and be ahead, right? You don't want to do, and I get it, like legal industry is stereotypically 5 years behind everything. Like legal is just now really starting to embrace Instagram, even though that was like pre-pandemic, in terms of popularity. Instagram is still peaking right now, but legal is just now getting into it. You shouldn't make the same mistake with TikTok. It is really going to be a good platform. Moving on here to video. So last year, only about 25% of law firms said that they did not do video, or so they didn't have video. 65% indicated some sort of regular, I misread all of that. This year, only 25% said they didn't have video. Last year, it was like something way higher. I think it was actually reversed, honestly, where it was like almost 2/3 of law firms didn't have video. Now only a quarter do not have video. And so that's a really, really huge jump in terms of video usage. And when I say that, I'm talking like video FAQs, regularly posting video, whether it's on your website or on social media, of you addressing frequently asked questions, and stuff like that. The big cinematic brand video is fine. That's usually just a one-off investment, though. Doesn't really count. It lives on your homepage, fine, but you're not going to get a ton of prolonged exposure and traction out of it. The key is regularly creating those FAQ videos, putting them up on your website, sharing them on social media. And God, if you want a good TikTok strategy, just do that. You got a bunch of FAQs on your website already, download them to your phone, post them on TikTok. It's really all you got to do. You don't have to dance. You don't have to lip sync. You don't have to do anything crazy. That's it. Just post those FAQs because people are on TikTok and they're learning, and there's so many different channels about all kinds of stuff that you can learn about. And it's so good. So blogging, 78% of law firms have blogs. Of that 78%, about 2/3 have a vendor or staff member who writes it for them. 36% of lawyers still try to write the blogs themselves, and they still complain about not having enough time. This is an easy thing to delegate. You don't have to be a lawyer to create legal content. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but we have a team of copywriters here who do that all the time. They create amazing content, and it's legally accurate, right? It's a lot of research. It's stuff that the average consumer is not going to be able to look up themselves and synthesize on their own, but you outsource it to a skilled copywriter who does this sort of thing for a living, and they create a bunch of good content. So outsource your blogging if you're doing it yourself. Podcasting is another big thing. So one thing that we saw is that the number of people who wanted to have their own podcast but felt like it was too complicated actually went up 15 percentage points from last year, whereas the people who indicated that they had no interest at all dropped nearly 20 points. So the interest in having a podcast is growing. There's still that hurdle of doing it, and that's why we're doing this workshop. We're going to be doing this workshop monthly because this was, especially coming from the Trends Report, one of the biggest changes overall in terms of what people were interested in and what that. And so 17% of law firms do have their own podcast, which is great for them, and they're publishing regularly. We have several clients that we produce their podcast for them, and they're really good, and you should definitely try to check those out. I need to get the media network up so we can have those podcasts up and running pretty quickly. The last thing was just several different metrics around websites. A lot of law firm websites are doing really well right now. It seems like a couple of outliers in terms of offering a lead magnet or offering, having a clear call to action. That information, though, is in the report. But the biggest thing that we saw, and we'll wrap it up here on this episode, is just the referrals. Last year, we asked like what percentage of a law firm's business comes from referral. The biggest one was about a third said more than 20%, but less than 40% of business. And only 2% of law firms said that 100% of their business is referral based. And again, this was the big thing there. There's a huge, huge, huge opportunity for law firms to double their referrals. They can do it through various marketing strategies. And I explain what all of that means in the Trends Report for this year. So if you want to download it, if you're watching the stream, the URL is flying by right there. But if you're listening to the episode on Monday or whatever day you downloaded the podcast, go to spotlightbranding.com/trends23, trends23 to get that resource there. And it's a huge thing. If you're going to be at ABA Tech Show this week, we're going to have some physical copies at our booth. Come by, grab one. We'd love to chat with you and meet you there as well. But that's going to do it. I could talk for hours about all the data that's in this Trends Report, but I wanted to give you guys a quick preview of what was in it. And definitely would love for you to check it out. Also, check out that survey that was in the ad at the top of the show at spotlightbranding.com/pod survey. But that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Please visit lawfirmmarketingminute.com for more information. We'll see you next time.